In this chapter, we're doing stock valuation. And this first problem deals with how to value common stock if you expect constant growth. That is, you expect the same growth every year forever. And this is the constant growth model we're going to be using here. And it reads as follows. It says, Elk County Telephone has paid the dividends shown in the following table over the past 6 years. Now, I want you to note, you have 6 years here of data, but only 5 time periods. So the first time period really is time period 0. So as you look at data, if you have 6 observations, you only have 5 time periods. So if they had given us 10 years of data, we'd only had 9 time periods. So just something to keep in mind here. It says the firm's dividend per share next year is expected to be $3.02. So $3.02 is D1. That's the dividend you expect, one time period from now. That's a future dividend. The A part says if you can earn 13% on your money, what's the most you'd be willing to pay for the stock? The B part reads if you could only need a 10% return, what would you be willing to pay for the stock? And then it has us compare and contrast the answers that we get. Now, the first thing we have to do is really calculate G. What's the expected growth rate? And we're going to use as a proxy for the growth rate in dividends. So we're going to use a little formula that we've used a number of times with a number of different situations. It's the ending value over the beginning value raised to the 1 over n minus 1. And we're going to use it in this case to find the growth rate in dividends over these 5-year time period here. The ending value then of the dividends was $2.87. The beginning value was $2.25. N is 5, so we're going to use an exponent of 1/5 or 0.20 minus 1, and I put all that in my calculator. I got 4.99%. So these dividends have been growing at about 5% a year, but technically 4.99%. In the first scenario, they say if you require a 13% return on your money, how much would you be willing to pay for the stock? Well, this is the constant growth model now. It says that the value of the stock today is the next dividend, D1, divided by K minus G. K is our required return. G is our expected growth rate, our constant growth rate. $3.02 is what we expect the dividend to be one time period from now. 13% or 0.13 is our required return. 0.0499 or 4.99% is our expected growth rate. And that gives us a price of $37.70. $37.70 is the intrinsic value of the stock, given all these assumptions. And what that means is that that's the most you'd be willing to pay for the stock. If you saw that the price of this stock in the market was $45 a share, don't buy it if you don't own it. If you own it, you should sell it, because it's only worth what? $37.70. In the B part, it says, what would happen if your required return went from 13% to 10%? Well, easy enough. We take D1, $3.02, divided by K minus G, 0.10 minus 0.0499. And that gives you an intrinsic value of $60.28. What does all this mean? What's the relationship here? It's pretty straightforward, basically. As risk increases, as we require higher rates of return because of risk, the price goes down. So if we had a required return for whatever the reason, company risk, economic risk, whatever, we said, we don't need a 10% return anymore. We need a 13% return. What impact does that have on the price of the stock in the market? It goes down. So as risk increases, price decreases. And that's the relationship here. That's what they want you to note as you observe this information.